Welcome to episode 8 of the Petty Podcast Official, and also welcome to my room. Currently my car is getting worked on, so I do not have a podcast studio right now, but we will be back next week though. So of course episode 8, I was like, well, might as well invite you all to my room eventually. So today's episode is called Gaga Ooh Lala, and it's about my favorite pop star, favorite music artist ever, Miss Lady fucking Gaga. And I mean, last week she came out. It was the end of the Mayhem era last week. Mayhem Requiem, where she shot a intimate show at the Wiltern Theater in Los Angeles. I mean, it was basically just a funeral for the end of this album cycle. And I'm really loving how she did this, and like Charlie XCX did it with Brat as well. It's like kind of ending like this beautiful album cycle, like giving it a proper ending that it deserves, you know, especially because they were both great bodies of work. And, you know, Mayhem especially, like, this is probably one of Gaga's biggest albums ever out of all the ones that she's done. And I mean, I like how they turn their music into, you know, performance art as well. And it's, you know, they want to end it on a good note, and they want to give it the ending that it properly deserves. And as a fan, I fucking loved it, you know? Like, let's just be as extra as possible now. And I mean, just the way that the stage was set up for that performance, for those of you that don't know, the Mayhem Ball was set up like an opera house. And so it was supposed to look like a decimated opera house that, you know, over several years has been like put away, and then years later was discovered again, and it was kind of like rubble and everything. And then all of the songs that she sang were from her album, but they were all just reworked into different ways. And you know, you could almost like get different meanings from the songs because they were produced in a different way than they were originally. And instead of Gaga just performing the song, she was also playing, you know, the piano, she was playing the guitar, she was playing the synths, along with her band as well. So it was a much like cooler, more intimate experience, and really like being able to see her, like the true musician and artist that she is. She's not just a pop star. She can do basically anything. And I mean, definitely the highlights of that show were Killa, her song Killa, which is one of my favorites on the album. And she really loves Nine Inch Nails, and you know, she did it, the sound was totally Nine Inch Nails themed. And then she says the line in one of their famous songs, I want to fuck you like an animal. And it's like she screamed it with like this big growl, and I was like absolutely obsessed with how she made that song so much more like darker and like moody and like mysterious than it already was. And I mean, of course, and then what she did with Die With a Smile was absolutely impeccable. And I think that was like one of my favorite outfits too, because she had like this space age looking outfit on with like a space helmet. And you know, it was just so like with all the old synthesizers she was using. And I guess it was a sample as well. One of my best friends, she told me she's super into music, just like, you know, she's my go-to when I have a music question. So the sample of that was Kavinsky for the movie Drive. And it was just like, it gave that song like such a different meaning. Like I felt like it was like post-apocalyptic almost. And I honestly like love that version more than the original version. So again, it just like proved that whole performance, that it just like proved like that she is like, she deserves a stage. Like Lady Gaga deserves a stage. She's here to stay, and she will always be famous, that's for sure. And just the Mayhem era in general, like, it was just, I deep dived into this era. Like, I have a hat, I have my hat that says Viva la Mayhem on it. This shirt is not Mayhem, it's Chromatica, but I mean, I have so many Mayhem era shirts. That woman took all my money for this album cycle. I got this bracelet from someone at her Mayhem ball. It says Garden of Eden on it. And this was just such a fun album to just really like deep dive into with her and like with other fans as well. I mean, it's just, like the way the world is going now, like the world is really shitty. And so it's like, might as well just like dive in head first and just enjoy, all my favorite music artists and, other forms of art as well, just to escape the reality that is our world right now, And I ended up seeing her 3 times during this album cycle. I saw her at Coachella, so I saw when, the first performance of Mayhem, and it was just amazing to see her just take that Coachella stage and turn it into that enormous opera house. And I think it was I know it was the greatest Coachella headliner performance of all time. Like, hands down. Like, I love Beyonce too, but I'm sorry, like the creativity behind what Gaga did, making the chessboard for Poker Face, and, and then for Paparazzi, how she had that beautiful like silk looking sheet behind her as she was performing, and she made it a more like 80s version of Paparazzi, and then building the beautiful opera house in general. It was just nothing I've ever seen, like, at Coachella at all. I mean, literally the only reason why I went to Coachella was because Gaga was headlining. That'll be another episode of how I feel about Coachella. And, I mean, that wasn't enough. Of course, seeing her at Coachella was great and everything. But that was just the beginning. And then she announced that she was doing a San Francisco show. And, of course, I saw her at Chase Center in San Francisco. And we had these really great seats. They were right on like first row on the balcony seats, so we had like nothing blocking our view. We were able to see it from like just looking down on it, and just especially during when she did Paparazzi, because she of course like added some more things when she was officially touring for the Mayhem Ball. She changed some of the songs that she was doing, she added some fun songs, and, she had more creative freedom than at Coachella. So, she added like the beautiful like rainbow colors on the sheet behind her for Paparazzi, which was just like absolutely stunning to see like from above. Almost looked like beautiful like rainbow clouds were behind her, and then she was just like this beautiful goddess singing her song. And being able to hear Summer Boy and also Aura live, like that was just, I never thought I would hear those songs from her live, and she just like threw those in there super randomly, and like it was just like, being a fan of hers for as long as I've been, like it was just such a little treat. Like it was, and being able to like see her so free up there, and I could tell she, was just like in her like creative zone. Like she's in such a more like positive headspace now than she has been in the past. And it was just like amazing to like witness that. And, later last year, she announced that she was extending her Mayhem Ball tour, and she announced some other shows in LA. So, I mean, me and... Sorry, I think my mic went off for a second. Okay, it's back on now. So, of course, me and my best friend were like, well, we have to get seats close to the stage. And so, yeah, we spent the Gaga Grand, as we like to call it, to see her in the fifth row, center fifth row. And I have never been that close to like a mega like performer before. And I'm telling you, that was like a completely different experience for me. Like seeing her like that close, and we weren't really looking up at her, we were looking like straight at her because we weren't like the very first rows, we were a little bit further back, and we were definitely in her line of vision too. And I made sure to wear an obnoxious beautiful hat, and me and her, we had like matching shirts on, so I feel like she did maybe see us when she glanced out into the crowd, maybe. But that was just an insane experience, and just felt like so intimate. You kind of forget that you're in a huge stadium watching her when you're that close to the stage. And just like being able to like almost like feel her energy and like share the energy with her. And probably like the most special part of that night was she did two of my favorite songs from her album, Born This Way. She did Marry the Night and Hair on the piano that night. And I just never, again, those are two songs that I never thought like I would hear her sing live again, because she has so many songs to choose from now, because she's been doing this for almost 20 years now. And like being able to like stand with my best friend, and we were both like crying during some of the songs and everything, because those songs mean everything to us. Like Born This Way, the album, means everything to us. So just being able to experience that, it was definitely like probably the best night of my life. And one of the best parts was, I think it was before she sang Die With a Smile, she was, she talks to the audience a lot when she is at the piano. And, I think she was saying something about like how she was going to be like an old lady up there, and, we'd all still be seeing her and everything. And, she starts like tearing up, and I like yell at the top of my lungs. I was like, "Don't cry, Gaga! We love you!" And immediately after I said that, I heard her say, "I love you too." So basically, I've spoken to Lady Gaga at this point. I mean, I believe she heard me. I mean, my voice projects pretty well, so I'm pretty sure she heard me. So again, it was just like I don't think anything will top that experience. Like experiencing that for the first time, and now moving forward, every time I see her, I have to be that close now. So it's kind of ruined, but you know what? Hey, I will make more money in the future, and so I will have more spending money on Lady Gaga. And just like her like impact on me is huge. She came out, I mean, I started really listening to her like in my early high school years, so of course I knew of the Fame album, and I knew of like Just Dance and Poker Face, and I thought they were like great songs, but really the song that did it for me was when Bad Romance came out, and she did this one scene in Gossip Girl where she performed that song during Gossip Girl. And I mean, I loved the show Gossip Girl when I was younger. And so I watched her perform that, and that is when I just became obsessed with this woman. I was like, I've known of you for a little bit. I've been kind of listening to your music, but that, for some reason, that performance on Gossip Girl just changed everything. I was like, and Bad Romance to this day will always be one of my favorite songs by Lady Gaga. And I say one of my favorites because I can't choose one. It's impossible. And so yeah, like little 16-year-old me, and I just became obsessed at that point. And I think that's when the Fame Monster was already out. I just loved to see a pop star who wasn't just like, she was just a different type of pop star that I had never seen before. Of course, like growing up, I was obsessed with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, but like, they were always like, they were these stereotypical, like really attractive, pretty women, and Lady Gaga was just weird. Like I loved how she was weird, because I felt like seen for once almost, because, I was never the cool girl. I was never like the prettiest girl in school. And so I finally felt like there was an artist out there that like understood me, and you know, that it was okay to be weird. It was okay to be the weirdo in school, and to be you know, different and creative and your true self and everything. So, I mean, I just like understood her immediately. Like when she came out in the MTV Music Awards in the meat dress, and everyone was like, what the heck is this woman doing? I understood it. It's because she was making a statement about how she, as a woman, is not just a piece of meat. She's a lot more than that. And I just never, like, I never questioned her, like, her creativity and her artistry, and you know, like, her, it wasn't just music, it was always performance art as well with her. And I think that's why her fans connect with her so much, is because she is always so authentically herself. And I think her fans, her little monsters, paws up, love her so much, because we're all in this together. We see ourselves in her as well. And I mean, I've seen her 6 times. And which I'm so lucky to be able to see her 6 times. Like, I mean, I first saw her when she was doing her first album with Tony Bennett, Cheek to Cheek. I saw her at Concord Pavilion. And so it was her and Tony up there doing their cute little jazz numbers. And I also got to see Tony Bennett perform I Left My Heart in San Francisco, and I fucking cried like a baby during that song, because my grandmother loved Tony Bennett, and I loved Tony Bennett as well. And when they started collaborating together and making albums together, I was like, this is like the greatest thing on earth. Like, what an amazing collaboration. And then, you know, I saw her for her Joanne World Tour. And then I saw her again for Chromatica, and I saw her 3 times for Mayhem. And I will probably be seeing her many more times for many more albums in the future whenever I get the chance, especially because I have more spending money now, and I will be seeing her if I can make it work. And you know, seeing her that many times, and just seeing her through all these different cycles, like with her albums, and like seeing, you know, she's still staying true to what she is, but she's experimented so much with many different styles of pop music. And, you know, even with like a little bit of country and Joanne, and then now with Mayhem, we're seeing a little bit more of like a rock side to her. And, you know, I know she has a lot of influences in rock music as well. I mean, if anything, I want to see a metal album. That's what, that would be my request. Okay, Lady Gaga, you're probably not listening, but if you are, metal album next. I think that would be like the most sick thing in the world. I mean, it's hard for me to choose a favorite album that like that I have of her. Oh my god. But well, it's not hard for me to choose my favorite. It's hard for me to like put them in order past like my 2 favorite albums. So obviously my first favorite is Born This Way. And then my second favorite is Art Pop. So Born This Way came out when I was a senior in high school. And I mean, just that album was, you know, it was so like dark and edgy and just different from any sort of pop music at the time. You know, coming out with Born This Way, like that is a huge LGBTQ IA like song. Like Born This Way is a queer anthem. And, you know, she was singing about that before anyone else was singing about any of that. You know, she's singing about feminism. She was singing about her life and, you know, her grandparents, and just like, you know, she just like, to me, that album, she just like put her all into that album. And it's my favorite album of all time, to be perfectly honest. I mean, there's so many good songs on it. And, you know, just starting out with like Marry the Night, and then like You and I is one of my favorite songs on that album too. Like Government Hooker, like just, you know, it was just all these like really like intense, dark, chaotic songs, but they all just made like perfect sense to me. And I just saw myself in a lot of those songs. And you know, like she was just always like, that was the time too when she was so like deeply misunderstood as an artist too. She hadn't really made it to like the mainstream yet. And I just loved how fucking weird she was. Like, this woman could do anything, and I don't care. I'm on board with it. I loved it. And, you know, and then my second favorite album's Art Pop. And that just, I feel like she just doubled down on the weird. Like, you know, she was making a statement with that album by saying that pop music is also art as well. You know, because a lot of pop stars at the time were, you know, they weren't really experimenting with different types of sounds. They weren't really writing their own songs. And, you know, she kind of paved the way for, you know, a lot of pop stars that are popular today. And she paved the way for so many musicians that are popular now. And I mean, people compare her to Madonna all the time, but I think this woman is way more talented than Madonna. And just going back to Art Pop and like how quirky and weird that album was, and people, well, not all people, but you know, a lot of the critics would say that was her flop album. And in no way is Art Pop a flop at all. It was not. She was actually going through a really, really dark time when Art Pop came out. I mean, she even has like a song on there called Dope, and it's a piano ballad where she's talking about, you know, her love of her fans and how she needs us more than like, you know, her addiction to other substances that she was going through at the time. And I mean, I don't know if it was her first performance, but she did a performance and she just had like this all white outfit on, and she had this really weird like white mask with like, you know, with like this pointed top on it, and it was just like the most quirky thing I've ever seen a pop star do. And I was just like, you know what? She's just being herself. She's being creative. She's being different, and I'm here for it. I am always here for it. And just she's made just like a huge impact on who I am as a person, and just always being authentically myself, and always, you know, just, you know, putting myself out there, and like, you know, trying to be more creative, like with what I'm doing with this podcast, and you know, just not being afraid of being myself. And just, I mean, and especially with the Mayhem era, she was really trying to illustrate like the two versions of herself, like her, you know, like her real self, and then also like this kind of, you know, her performance side, and then also kind of like her good side and her dark side. And it's okay to have those two sides of yourself like coexist, and you can still be a healthy person, and, you know, you can love both sides of yourself. And, you know, I've always kind of felt like there has been a yin and a yang, you know, misbalance between myself. But as I've gotten older, I've really, you know, learned to love every side of me. And I mean, and it's good to have, you know, a positive influence like her. I mean, also, I mean, she's really into, you know, a lot of like social justice, and she's really into, you know, politics as well. And just, I mean, that side of her too is what, you know, has really like inspired, you know, me and my political views to this day as well. And I mean, like, you know, we need more positive influences like Lady Gaga in this world. And so I'm just so happy that she is still doing her thing almost 20 years later. And then she's still gonna make music for probably 40 or 50 more years, you know? And I feel like I've grown up with her as well. You know, just going through like all the albums with her and everything, and just, I can listen to her all day, every day. And I'm really glad that, and I really hope that when people think of me, or when people hear Lady Gaga music, they think of me. So, I think I make it pretty clear that I'm like obsessed with this woman though. And yeah, I think like this next period of her life, I feel like she's definitely gonna get married to her lovely fiance Michael, that we also love so much, that he's also helping her in her creative planning for Mayhem as well. And so I'm just happy that she's happy now, and I could see it in her performance. I could see that she's not in as much pain as she was with mental health issues and trauma from her past. Like, I could tell that she's really worked on herself and put in the time to take care of herself and to nurture herself, and that's all I ever want from my favorite artists. Like, I want them to take care of themselves. If they have to cancel a show, if they have to postpone something, like whatever, like just take care of yourself. Because I think it's so hard being in this industry and being, in front of people constantly, to just take a step back and, what, hey, like I need to take care of myself now. And I respect that more artists are doing that. And I think as fans, we need to just come alongside them and realize they're people too. Like, they're not just here for entertainment for us. Like, they're also people as well. So that is episode 8, Gaga Ooh Lala. I had to sing it because it's from Bad Romance. So, please like, follow, and subscribe to the Petty Podcast. I also have my Instagram and my TikTok account where I update it more daily than my YouTube or my Spotify. Please comment what your favorite Lady Gaga song is in the comments, and maybe like which album is your favorite. Just what, any little Lady Gaga thing that you love, put it in the comments. And next week, I haven't really planned. I'm figuring out what next week's episode is. And so I hope to see you next week for episode 9 of the Petty Podcast Official. And thank you so much for listening. And I hope you have a beautiful week.